Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Conquering Stress podcast. This is Dr. Bill Janeshak, and we are talking about all things stress as always, and that is what everything that is physical, chemical, and emotional. And in this time, this is kind of an impromptu one because it just struck a chord in me. As the time of recording this is mid-June 2025, and there's LA riots going on because of ICE in LA and the upheaval and civil unrest because of that. And I was watching an interview of Arnold Schwarzenegger on The View, and they were asking his opinion. It's a more lefty show, and Arnold Schwarzenegger, who was the ex governor of California and a conservative, I think he's gotten a little softer on his beliefs since then, but I don't know, but that doesn't really matter. The point being is that they were asking him to talk about the immigrant system or situation in America, but mostly California. And I think he had a really good answer because he was talking. He said, you know what, when you come to another country, you have to act as a guest, and then you have to follow the rules. He said, do everything legally and do the best that you can, and take all the opportunities that America offers and build something. And once you build something, think about how you can give back to the country to make the country better. So take that for whatever it is, because I'm not trying to make this a political thing. But what it sparked in my mind, especially for this podcast, is that it comes down to rules. If you're in a new place, there's different rules that you play on. One of my favorite things, if you followed me at all, is I'm a big fan of the hero's journey, and part of the hero's journey, and the hero journey is a system of how all transformations come in. And this was studied by Joseph Campbell uh, in the 40s. And he was a mythologist and an archaeologist and a professor. And so he professes, uh, after studying all cultures through thousands of years, that whenever there's a transformation, there's common themes, there's steps, and there's sub steps and everything. But basically, there's 12 steps. Go figure, 12 steps uh, to come over. And one is that when you cross in from one world to another, and when you meet worlds, it can be like Dorothy of the Wizard of Oz. You go from Kansas to Oz, wherever that is. Sometimes it's a mental world, and sometimes it's a new environment, basically. So when immigrants come over, they're coming over in their cultural things where rules or understandings of certain things are done a certain way. So when you're coming to a new situation and you're trying to take your rules into a new environment, there tends to be some challenges there. And again, I'm not talking about the immigrant thing, but it sparked a thought in my mind about health and stress. So a lot of times when we have stress, it's because our expectations are not meeting our results or the results that we think that we should be getting. And usually we're coming from a place. I'll give you a perfect example. I was doing a weight loss class, and people are there to lose weight because they're not happy with either their aesthetics or their health status or something. So they want something new. Well, it's basic that if in health, that if you've ended up at a certain spot, you've done certain things or had certain things happen to you, that you get a certain result. So if you're overweight, we can hallucinate that you don't exercise that much. Maybe you overeat, or you eat the wrong foods, or you have maybe a hormonal condition that's caused by, poor diet or something else going on there. But basically, the things that you've done in the past have gotten you to where you are. And as I was talking about Our Way, my final weight loss journey, which is a wonderful class, I might add, because it's a little bit different because we're talking about we have to find out where you are and what your habits are because everybody wants a little pill potion or powder to make it everything go away where they don't have to change anything. And it's one of the we got a world of shortcuts. Oh, that's easy, and you get this, you get to do that, and that's not how bodies work. I don't care how much technology we have. We've had the same body. But bodies adapt uh, slowly over time, and we still have prehistoric bodies. They pretty much basically still run the same way, but we've created new environments. We sit more. Food is delivered to us. We don't have to chase down a wildebeest to do that. We don't have to cook it over an open fire. We don't have to walk down to get our water. We don't have to do all these little things that the environment changes. So in the stress class, we talk about food. Well, I don't like that food, and this doesn't do good, and I can't do that exercise because it makes me uncomfortable, or I don't like to sweat, or I can't do that because I don't get up early. I'm not a morning person, or I'm not a night person. There's all these preconceived rules that they've always done, seeming got into the result that they've had, and they don't understand why they just can't get better because their neighbor did X, Y, and Z or took Ozempic or you know is keto or is vegan or is on a starvation, whatever it is, that they don't realize why I can't do the same thing and get the same results is because you have different rules coming in and your body will change that. So one of the things is I'm thinking about this whole Schwarzenegger thing, and we're not prepared to immigrant into in this case a world of leanness or weight loss, or it's a fitness journey, or it's a mental journey, or whatever, because they're so ingrained on the habits and the everybody knows, or I've always done this and I can't stop and I can't do this. They've got to change their boundaries, and the boundaries are just rules. And it's go to immigration before, just like that there's boundaries of countries, and these type of people live on this side and these other people live on these other side, and because of the environment that you're in and cultural stuff and history like that, we have different rules, different boundaries. In some cultures, they fast, and that's normal. Some people eat to celebrate. Uh, there's different patterns, or there's different boundaries. So what I was thinking more is, I said, what are our boundaries? Do you actually have written boundaries or written rules about what you won't do? I talk a lot about identity, and when you believe you are something, then there's certain things that that type of person does. And spoiler alert, one of the biggest things in a weight loss journey, in a fitness journey, in anything that you want to change or just getting better, is you have to change who you are first. Um, you know, there's the body dysmorphic uh, situation where you get somebody that was overweight and was always perceived as the fat kid, or got the fat jokes, and they were overweight, and it doesn't matter how much they lose. They could lose everything, and and there's just skin and bones, and they look in the mirror and they see a fat person. They don't see the person that's really there because they believe themselves to be a fat person. Uh, so they do things that people constantly trying to lose weight do, and they starve themselves, and they binge and purge, and they're bulimic and they're anorexic, and these are extreme examples of course, but they have rules because they never changed who they are. And if you changed who you are, and by doing that and then setting up rules about the way this type of person behaves, I tell my patients when they come in, and really doesn't matter what they're doing, I said, you are an urban athlete and you have to, like an athlete, train for your job. If you are a football player, you have to train to lift weights to get stronger and get quicker. And if you're a distance runner, then you have to stay lean and you do this much road work and you work on your VO2 max and you work on your kick at the end. And so you're training for the thing that you do or the thing that's most important to you. Somehow we forget about that when we become engineers or data interest, in, was it data inputters, whatever they're called, baristas, students, moms, uh, doofuses doing chiropractic and podcasts. We have to do certain things with our life. We have to train for that. And since most of our jobs are sitting down, we have to train. And sitting is an endurance sport. People think, "Well, I just sit there, I don't do anything." Well, it takes a long time for you to hold your body up in a certain position like that. It doesn't matter what the position is, and they let themselves go, and then they wonder why they have back pain, neck pain, sciatica, digestive issues, yada yada yada, and it goes on. So when you're changing anything, you've got to go back over and you're changing your identity. Who am I now? And you make a decision and you say, here's the boundary, here's the rule. I'm never going to go back over and be this person again. I'm never going to weigh more than this again. As of now, and even before, like in this case, if you're trying to lose weight, you say, I'm never going to, weigh, and you fill in whatever number that you want. And then you say, and from now on, I am this person. I'm an urban athlete. Urban athletes wake up in the morning and they go for a run or they go for a walk or they do some exercise and they work out and train. Urban athletes will eat these kinds of foods because they're feeding their body for X, Y, and Z reason. They get prepared to go and do this. This is the uniform that they wear. This is the types of things that they do. And if you identify more with that person that you want to be than the person that you're running, that you don't want to be, you will do more things. I hang around urban athletes and other people that talk about this and do that. And as a group, our culture, just like on one side of the border in a country to another side of the border, you have different cultural things. You create a culture in there that supports that and lifts that up and rewards that. And anytime a human is rewarded for who they are, they increase that person. So now that you're dabbling in this, and then you become a muggle, and then you're a muggle, and then you become a half-blood, and then a half-blood, now you become a wizard. Harry Potter references for you all. But then you attract other people and you get reinforcements of this, and then you work out together and you do this and you eat these kinds of food as your celebration or your rites of passage or whatever, and we all dress this way and we wear this kind of hat on Thursdays and we do this and we do that, and you identify that as that person that you wanted to be. And that's exactly what happens in any transformation that you had. So if you're stuck, and I get pushback from people a lot in with weight loss. I've tried that and I've done this and I've tried this diet and that. The problem with hacks is those are the things that you do and they're not the people that you are. Because I guarantee you that if you believe that you're a fat person and if you made a list of everything that a fat person does, and they eat 42 pizzas. They sit on the couch and they suck on Twinkies and they watch Oprah and they roll over and they wear baggy pants and they stink a little and they can't do this and they get winded walking upstairs and whatever you want to put on your idea of that person, they're going to have a different identity and they're going to have different boundaries, and their boundaries and their rules are, well, I don't like to do that. It doesn't taste good. It doesn't do that like that. So they're creating that through who they are, not what they're doing. But when people come over and the pushback is, I don't do this, I've tried that diet, I've tried that, but they've taken the old of them with them. And it's the most important thing in dieting for you, because willpower, it can work because you can will yourself long enough that it becomes a habit. But if you still have that conversation, you said, well, I don't want to, and oh, those donuts look good. If I could just blah, 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 enter what you're doing. I gave the example in the classes. I know somebody that was doing she had always studied had challenges with weight loss. And so different pills, potions, powder, this diet, that one. And then they decided to go and do a pretty rigorous thing. And her and her friend sat down over there and decided that we're going to do this. And it was a long process, and they had wonderful result. They planned their meals, they did this, they planned their workouts, they went over there, they read about it, they engulfed them. We call this total immersion. You are in, you drank the Kool-Aid, you are all set to go. And they start to see the results. So the momentum is, oh, and we're going to do this and do like this. And there was a time, it was several months that they did it. I think it was like a quarter or something, and lost 30 or 40 pounds, feeling good, new clothes, new person, less pain, better sleep, better bowel movement, sleep, everything like you would expect. I want this, this, and this, doing really good. And then there was the final day, and the line of it, they, yes. And to celebrate, they went out on a bar crawl and just got shit faced, and they were eating sliders and chicken wings and pizza, and gorging themselves and just going on that because they were celebrating that they did all this stuff and they deserved that. And on the outside, I would say, yeah, awesome, that's great. So they never changed their identity. They did all that work, and they identified that as suffering and sacrifice and everything else. Now, if you take another person that does the exact same thing, and they started out as, I'm an urban athlete. These are my boundaries. These are the rules. This is the type of things that people do, and it all sucks the same. Whenever you change something, especially when you're doing something extreme like that, it all sucks for a while until it doesn't, and because until it becomes normal. It's a typical day. And the urban athlete who changed their identity, that comes back over and they finish the thing and they celebrate by going out and say, oh, I did it. Oh, I can't believe it. I'm this. You say, woohoo. And maybe you have a snack that was off some mouth orgasm that you can, you eat something and you say, oh, that was tasting so good. But on the other hand, they said, after all that work, there's no way I'm putting that crap in my body. There's no way that I would paint this beautiful painting and spray paint over it because I've worked so hard. You know, you see what I'm doing there? It's the same journey, but it has a different meaning because there's different people taking them. So if you're starting something, and to really break the stress, Conquering Stress podcast. So if you go back over that and you look what happened, the urban athlete comes out the other side is empowered and going, okay, now what's next? Now that I'm this person now has the ability to do X, Y, and Z and can do whatever that they want to do. The other person is going, oh shit, I got to keep on doing this. And if you're not changing, and if every time you view a workout or a meal that doesn't taste fabulous and just doesn't tickle your fancy, doesn't make you happy, as a torture or something bad, why is life worth living if you have to hate everything or if you're not enjoying things? So it's about your boundaries of which are rules. I do X, I do Z, and you'll get the results. And then you can start to change into anything that you want. We all always hear that, well, you can do anything you want, and you can, but you've got to work on all aspects of it because wherever you go, you're taking you with you. And you just have to sit over and make sure it's the version of you that has the ability to take on the next challenge that you have. One of the things when I first got my graduated as a chiropractor. There's certain things. I'm a newbie, wet behind the ears, and working out. So I knew basic stuff that everybody learned, and I had some people that in my class that they said, "Okay, well, I'm done. That's good. I got this." And you pick up things from time to time. You get more experience, and you get better. Well, to me, it was like the starting, and I'm like, well, how's this work? And that's when I got into neurology. And there's just so many, there's no ending amount of rabbit holes and curiosity. But to me, it interests me. So like if I didn't get paid to do it, I would still do it anyways. It's like any one of your hobbies if you're listening. If you're a quilt maker, you like quilt things. If you're a woodworker, you like those things. If you're a pickleballer, you're just into that. You're curious. And that's exactly what I've done. So I've just picked up things and I've added them to my repertoire so that my art form or my life form is ongoing. But I have the discipline to keep on learning and going further. And then I build the habit of doing that. And when I say that I have 30 years experience, that's different than having 1 year experience 30 times because you're always growing. And I'll tell you, and you don't have to do this. This is all individual things, but people are meant to grow and experience things and have challenges. Because if everything was all sunshine, rainbows, and unicorns all the time, there's no excitement in your life. And it's kind of the challenge with like the younger generation, because if you don't have the song on demand or you can't, Google the information, at a snap of a finger. If, you can't have food delivered to the door, if, you don't like this coffee shop, you drive half a block and there's another coffee shop, and that everything is that, we're all caught up in that I have to enjoy every single thing that I do. And the world can't work like that. And so these people look for anytime that there's an effort that they're not used to taking, it becomes something that they try to avoid. There, there's a there's a truth that goes on that the discipline equals freedom. And Jocko Willink's, if you haven't seen him or heard his podcast, he's an ex Navy SEAL, but everything's about discipline. Very smart guy. He's a man's man, but he has a very uh, enlightened philosophy, and it just makes sense. He does a lot of business consulting over there about teamwork and life, but it all comes down to discipline. And people think that, well, the more rigid I get, then I want to just kind of free and do what I can. The more discipline you have, the more freedom that you have to do things because there's boundaries and there's within those walls you have more freedom. And they said it was kind of like the equivalent of if you were playing football, but there was no sidelines and there was, real no defined goals. And so you could run to the left or right. And if there was no rules, then you would have some issues with that. Um, so once that happens, uh, and you define the rules that you have, you get actually more freedom that you can. So if you're looking for uh, a happier life, do harder things. Be willing to change you first, and sit down and make the rules. Whatever you want to do. If you want to stop stressing out about something, you say, what does somebody that wouldn't stress out over this do? Make a list and step into that person and become that person. So this was off the cuff, but it sparked that in my head after watching that video, and I thought it was very interesting, and I wanted to share it with you on the Conquering Stress podcast. So if any parts of this kind of resonated with you, or you're going, hey, that one thing he said was pretty good, go ahead and click and share and subscribe to this. I haven't really pushed this out to try to get it out to more people because it was just kind of like to my people. But I think I want to start getting this out more. So do me a favor, if you got any value out of this, share it with somebody and we'll get it done. So this is Dr. Bill Janeshak on the Conquering Stress podcast, and you have a great day.